Oh.
All set, Sandy? Good evening, everyone. I have 6:01, so I will open up tonight's Conservation Commission meeting. This is for Thursday, November 2nd, 2023. We are meeting here in the Wacoit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North. Our meeting is being broadcast live on local cable channel 8 and also streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website. Before we begin, if you would like to join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Flight 715 from Denver. We are boarding at Delta 20, DE20. Thank you.
I would like to start by taking a moment of silence, especially in memory of the victims in our next-door neighboring state in Maine, and especially for their families and loved ones. Thank you. We will begin with public comment. If there is anyone that's here tonight that would like to address the commission on any agenda items that are not part of our meeting that's posted for tonight. Is there something anyone would like to say? Doesn't look like here. Nobody's online through other than us.
Anyone online for public comment on any issues not on tonight's agenda?
I think we're good. Okay. I think I'll just go right into the hearings. We can go back to time for that. Okay, I will start with the 6 o'clock hearing. This is for 108 Captain's Row, Nicholas M. and Kathy M. DeGuisto. This is a proposed raise and replace embankment steps and deck. The representative is McAllister Marine Construction. This is a RDA. It's been continued from 7/27, 8/10, and 9/7.
Someone's asking on the phone. Did someone just have a question on who's on the phone? Yeah.
I did, Drew. It's Marjorie. When you go to that other microphone, I can't hear a thing. It's all garbled. Is there any way to clear that up? I'm assuming that was someone from outside the room, or was it someone inside the room?
Marjorie, do you have your phone on speaker? Because sometimes that can help improve audio on your end.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know if there's much more we can do, but we can just have everyone speak into the microphone and as loud as possible.
You're coming through loud and clear, so it's the chairman, but I just couldn't hear that last speaker.
Okay.
My microphone.
I don't know. You're the only one speaking. She said she could hear you.
Well, let's continue and see if that's still a problem. For this hearing tonight, we do have a request for a continuance to December 7th at 6 p.m. The reason for that is that plans need to be finalized with Cape and Islands Engineering. It's taken some time for the applicants to find an available engineering firm so that the plans, as of our request, can be created and finalized. So if there's any questions or discussion on that first, I'll entertain that. If not,
Did they pick the date?
I believe that
Did
was
we pick the
assigned
date?
by staff.
They picked the date.
Oh, they did pick it.
They did.
Good, okay.
December 7th, you said?
December 7th
Okay.
at 6. So they feel as though that's adequate time to,
Yeah, they wanted to make sure they had enough time to get the plan done and also just to go over it and familiarize themselves.
sure. Okay. So if there's a motion, I would accept that.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll second.
Thank you, Alex. Any further discussion by the commission? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Alex?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well, so that motion carries unanimously, and we'll see them on the 7th. Now calling the 6:03 hearing for 42 Wheeler Road, Marcio de Jesus. This is a proposed raise and replace of a single-family dwelling with associated landscape and hardscaping. The representative is Cawley Site Services LLC. This is a notice of intent, DEP 433252. This hearing was continued from 9/7 and 9/21. We also have tonight a request for this hearing to be continued to November 16th. That's our next meeting at 6:15. And the reason for that is revised plans showing setbacks to the top of Inland Bank and a recommendation for additional mitigation for the bocce ball court area. So if there's any discussion on that request, I'd entertain that now. No?
I'm just wondering,
Alex.
again, did they request the date or did we assign it?
They requested the day because they brought the mitigation specialist in, and he located an inland bank on the property.
And
So-
they're not gonna just continue again?
No,
after
no,
this?
this should be the
Yeah.
one they really want
Okay.
done with.
Yep, sounds good.
What was the time again?
The next one,
For this one?
6:15?
Thank you.
November 16th, right, 6:15. Okay. I'll entertain a motion then.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll second.
Thank you, Alex. Any further discussion by the commission? Hearing none. Alex?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That motion carries unanimously. Don't want to get ahead of myself looking at the clock. Now calling the 6:06 hearing for 196 Captain's Row, Jason E. and Jamie C. Sobel, trustees, Sobel Family Trust. This is a proposed float extension. Representative is Falmouth Engineering Incorporated. It's a notice of intent, DEP file number 433256. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, Mike Borselli. I represent the applicant. The applicant filed a notice of intent for permission to make a minor modification to his existing pier, ramp, and float. He has an existing licensed pier, ramp, and float. The float currently measures 8 foot wide by 18 feet long. Given the size of his boat, in order to more safely tie it, he's requesting that he be allowed to make it extension on that, so by 7 feet, so the total is 8 foot wide by 25 feet long. There'll be no additional pilings. 2 existing pilings will simply be removed and reset in another location. So the overall size of the float is 200 square feet. Your regulations allow for 200 square feet. I understand that the harbor master commented with no issues. Shellfish had no issues. They didn't even require any mitigation. And I believe the Department of Natural Resources had no issues. So it's a simple pre-manufactured float extension. It will be built and the season's over, so it'll be installed for next season. And that wraps it up. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to commissioners first that have any questions or comments.
Yep, looks pretty straightforward to me.
It does. All set, Alex? Yeah. Aaron, anything you want to ask? Sandy? Marjorie, is there any questions or comments that you have?
No, I think it's well presented.
Okay. Then I guess we're all set. I'll entertain a motion if there is one.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for 196 Captain's Row, Sobel Family Trust for notice of intent filing for close and issue for float addition.
Second?
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Aaron. So the motion is made and seconded to close an issue. Any discussion amongst the commissioners? Nothing? We're good? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Alex?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Erin?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a good night.
That was easy.
They should all be
Every
like,
now and then.
The next one won't be.
they're rare.
Have a good night.
You too.
You as well. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 0. Give me a minute to clean up here. Now calling the 6:09 hearing for 48 Greenwood Road, Daniel Marsters and Joyce Marsters. This is a proposed placement of fill and retaining walls along property perimeter to bring property to just above elevation of adjacent roadway, which is Greenwood Road. This work is proposed as preparation for a planned raise and rebuild of an existing single-family residence and installation of a new septic system. Representative is Marsh Matters Environmental, owner of record Joyce A. Marsters, trustee Greenwood Trust. And this hearing is continued from October 5th. Notice of intent 433255. We have a request to continue this hearing to December 7th at 6:06. And the request continuance is for a plan revision to remove proposed landscaping walls, retaining wall, and substitute with grading to match the neighbor's regrading, which was authorized by Conservation in a previous filing. So I'll open that up.
That's the neighbor's house that was authorized by Concom, because I just realized the way it's worded, somebody may think I'm talking about the subject property,
This
I'm not.
pe- right,
In that
okay.
comment, yeah.
I believe it's the next,
neighbors.
is it 20?
Yeah,
Yes.
20, yeah.
Okay. Okay, discussion, questions by commissioners? None? I'll entertain a motion then for the continuance.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, make a motion for 48 Greenwood Road, Daniel Masters and Joyce Masters, to continue the notice of intent hearing to December 7th at 6:06 PM.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll second.
Thank you, Alex. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion by the commission?
Are we able to make any comments? We're one of the abutters.
We're not on that property yet?
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
No problem.
Okay, so we're clear online. All right, then I will call for a vote. Alex?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So that motion carries unanimously, and that will be continued to December 7th. Now calling the 6:12 hearing for 61 Shoestring Bay Road, 61 Shoestring Bay Road LLC. This is a proposed final house footprint with associated landscaping, hardscaping, appurtenances, and utilities. The representative is WRS Engineering LLC. This is an amended order of conditions, DEP file number 433062, and this hearing is continued from 8/24, 9/7, and 10/19. Good evening, gentlemen. If I can have your names for the record.
Roy Okarowski.
Andrew Garrelay.
Thank you.
Good evening. We're back before the board again. Just to recap, last time we were here, there was a few concerns from the board, mainly that we were outside of a previously permitted footprint that we were allowed to put the house in. So, and that was the main point of contention. So Andrew went and we worked and redesigned the entire project. And I'll just kind of quickly go over we are in the footprint now, and I'm just going to read the reductions in areas to show what we did. Previously, the dwelling was 3,517 feet. It's been reduced to 2,716 feet. We reduced it by 800 square feet. Patio was 2,240 square feet. We reduced it to 1,328 square feet, a reduction of 912 square feet. The pools basically stayed the same. It actually went, it did go down 32 square feet. The deck went from 183 to 789 square feet, and the driveway got reduced from, which is a big one, 1,759 to 1,079, a reduction of 680 square feet. And retaining walls went from 1,010 square feet to 433 square feet, a reduction of 577 square feet. In doing this, we feel we're complying with, trying to make a better project here. And I'm going to kind of turn it over to Andrew here at this point to go over the planting and et cetera.
Yes, good evening. As Roy mentioned, we substantially reduced the house. We brought it well back. Retaining walls are brought well back from the limited work line so that the much smaller retaining walls are far enough away from any tree roots that are outside of the work limit on the east side of the property. And again, these walls are much smaller. Part of the reason, I guess I'll just walk you from around the front of the house to the back. Starting with the driveway, this driveway is pretty much in the same location as the permitted conceptual plan that we're actually detailing out here. The grade in the front of the house is being lowered, but not enough to require any retaining walls outside of the building envelope, which was a concern before. So we're keeping pretty close to the natural grade along most of the south property line. Out in front of the house, we are going to be reducing. There's a little bit of a lump there. We need to bring that down a little bit so that we can have a house with a basement that complies and it isn't crazy deep, that becomes the first floor. And what we're also doing is we're capturing the water in the front yard, the street side of the house, into a catch basin in the driveway, so it pitches away from the garage into the catch basin with a large leach pit. We're also picking up, we made a little bit of a low spot just to the right or the south side of the garage. There's a small indentation there with another catch basin that goes to that leach pit to keep us from having runoff going around the back side of the house. As I mentioned before, the grade there isn't changing a whole lot, and we're putting, I'll get to the planting in a little bit. Can we scroll that a little bit? The other direction, please. Yeah. So the whole front yard has more or less a swale pitching toward the north, where we have another low area with a leach pit collecting any runoff from going around the north side of the house and then going down the slope. So we're really trying to avoid having any kind of erosion going down the two sides of the property. The house, as you look at the house from the street, the grade in front of the house is pretty much level right across the face of the house. From south to north, pretty much the whole length of the house is all even grade. Then at the corner, the northwest corner of the house, we have a retaining wall that's retaining the front yard from the pool area. And it's terraced, so we have a two levels of retaining wall there to kind of break up that slope a little bit. So it steps down from the front yard grade to a terrace where there's a 4-foot-high wall separating the pool patio from the lower portion of that terrace. The pool equipment is to the north end of the patio area as you're looking at it there. The retaining wall wraps around that. All the hardscape around the pool area is pitched to a perimeter drain, so everything is being collected into the drainage there and going into the leaching area the leaching pit that you see underneath the patio. That's right there at the north end of the patio. So that retaining wall that you're seeing on the street side is retaining the front yard from dropping down into the pool area. On the east side of the pool, we have a retaining wall that wraps around the pool that holds the pool up. And this is not like a 12-foot wall like what was in the other proposal. This wall is at the highest point is that northeast corner where it is, I got to stop and look at it
like
very
7.
closely.
It's like
Yeah,
7.
it's about 7 feet. It goes from 9, a little over 7 feet on that corner. And there's a safety railing on the top, and of course, all the drainage is being caught. You can see the perimeter drain there that looks kind of like a ladder around the edge. As you go to the southeast corner of the patio area, there's a set of steps that goes up to a first-floor deck. Scroll a little bit. Yeah, right there. So we've got a little bit of hardscape going underneath that deck that you can see. And then once we get past the hardscape, it's all just open gravel. And that retaining wall continues and goes around the foundation of the house. It's not very high, as you can see the contour lines. Where the jog is, it's at elevation 26, 24. The wall is about 2 feet high at that corner where that first jog is, underneath the deck. If you can bring that, yeah, right, just above your arrow. Yeah, right there. The wall's only about 2 feet high. And the reason why we have to have that wall there is we've got to keep the perimeter of the house at elevation 27.2 or higher for building code reasons. For the basement. So that very low wall wraps around the east side of the house and meets grade. If you can scroll up a little bit. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Scroll down, I guess is what I meant. Where the step is at 27.2, we're pretty much meeting grade right there. No, the other one lower.
Oh,
right
sorry.
there where that
Yeah.
step is. So that grade is almost the same without the retaining wall. It meets grade right there. And then we have a couple of steps going up, and then as you wrap around the corner, we've got more steps going up, and that's to keep the average grade around the house such that it doesn't become a first floor. The basement doesn't become a first floor. So one of the biggest difference on this project is all of the disturbed area inside the work limit on the north side of the house and the south side of the house, except for the pathway to get around the house for maintenance and other reasons, is all planted with a lot of different native plants with varying strata. The whole south property line has a hedge of eastern red cedars. We also have Juneberry, Amelanchier, which is you could either call a tall shrub or a small tree. On the north side of the property, we have 5 oak trees, and then in the front yard, we also have 4 groupings of native Betula nigra, clump birch, All of the native plants are shown in green, while the ornamental plants are shown in black and white. So we've really tried to make a nice wildlife habitat so the little animals can kind of sneak along the edge of the property on the south side, where there's a neighbor has the lawn and everything, so it's kind of a nice addition of a wildlife corridor. And on the north side, of course, we do have open space to the north lot, but we also added trees along there and also some amelanchier there. Got a lot of different plants, arrowwood, bayberry, all kinds of stuff, even some blueberry in there as well. And what else? Winterberry and inkberry. And we kept the walkway minimal in the front yard and the driveway enough so that they can turn around and get out without backing out into the street. And I think that pretty much sums it up.
Okay. Anything else? No?
Nope.
Okay, well, thank you. I think I will begin by opening up questions and comments to the commissioners first, and then I will go out to the public. There are some people here. I don't know if it's for this hearing or not. Come back to our agent's comments, and we'll go from there. So I'll start with the commissioners.
What percentage of this lot is outside of the limit of work? Like, what percentage is going to be left untouched? Do you know about?
I'm sorry,
Like, what percentage of this lot is going to be left untouched?
I don't know. The limit of work was set in the existing order of conditions. Do you know the answer to that?
It's probably in the order of less than 5% from the established limit of work, which is in the south, which would just be this little section in the southeast corner.
Like, the lot, how big is the lot? I'm trying to find that.
So the lot is, let me open my
It's
zoning
not on the
plan.
landscape plan, it's on the other plan.
1 second.
It says the minimum lot area is 40,000 feet, but that's just showing the zoning information, so I'm just wondering, how big is the lot?
So the lot has been designated that we're not allowed to be over. With the structure, I believe it's 13, it's either 13 or 18%, and we're well under that, and that's all been dealing with building. I mean, we're down to the minimum we have. I can pull, I'm not really supposed to discuss zoning issues here.
No, I'm trying to understand.
That's not what she said.
I'm trying to understand how much of the lot is going to be disturbed
Yeah,
versus left untouched.
The whole lot, let me look. Stamp revised cover letter. That's calcs. I believe we're in the order for the around 12%, something like that, 12 to 13%.
She's asking how much of the lot back here is left undisturbed
The entire-
over the entire lot. I think it's much more like
hold on.
30%.
Yeah, I mean, like, if this
Yeah.
is the whole lot on this plan,
Yeah.
it looks like it's like at least 60% of the lot.
No, we're not that high, but we're in the order of like 30 to 40, and
Because in
that's
order to do this, you're going to clear the lot, correct?
just the upper half, and that's already permitted.
Yeah,
It's already been permitted,
Yeah.
so there's, I don't really understand the relevance of the question.
And that was permitted how long ago?
Approximately 3 years, and that's all, that's all in the order. The order's good, and that's why we're here. We're just amending the original order. This isn't a new filing.
the The amendment is to add the detail to the plan that was not there at the time of approval.
Because the approval was just like to sell the lot. It wasn't, there wasn't an intention to
No,
build it?
no, that is not correct. There is the footprint, the engineer came in with the footprint
Yeah.
allowed for the house and everything, and that was approved, which means this board, not you specifically, approved that entire area for a house and hardscape, and we have complied with that. We're not changing anything. It basically said the condition in the order was you would come back with an actual house footprint plan and driveway plan and planting, and that is what we did. So we're complying with the requirements set from the town in the order of conditions.
Okay.
Alex, would you like me to come back to you, and I'll just...
Maybe, yeah, keep going.
Okay, Steve, any questions? or-
All right, so a couple of questions. So I see that there's 2 leaching pits in the front of the property, and there's one at the pool. So I'm assuming that whole trench drain around the pool is going to that leaching under the pool, right?
That's correct. And there's also, all underneath the deck and around the back of the house is all open gravel between the wall and the house for drainage as well.
Okay, so so I understand, I assume that the roof leaders on the front of the house are going to those 2 pits out in the front. Where do the roof leaders on the rear go to?
Yeah, we could add that. There should be another leach pit probably inside of that. Can we do one inside of that retaining wall in here? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's all gravel.
We'll just drop it down deep.
Yeah.
And then the pool water drawdown.
I'm sorry?
What's- On the pool water drawdown, what's the
Yeah.
plan for that?
You can see from the pool equipment, there's a drainage line that goes out, and it goes to the leach pit that's up nearer to the street, the big leach pit area there. So it's not going in the drainage to the drainage that's under the patio.
Okay.
Because it's pumped, so it's able to go to that
pumped
big...
up to that?
Up to the big leach pit.
Okay,
Yeah.
that wasn't, yeah,
Yeah.
so that was clear. And then, I don't know, this kind of goes back to what Alex said, and Drew, I understand this was approved 3 years ago or so, but if the new construction is within the 100 to 50-foot buffer, is there any mitigation on that previous approval at all or anything?
No.
No,
Nope.
no?
Although, I don't know if you had already mentioned, or this was still in play, about the Phragmites off-lot as a form of mitigation.
Yeah,
Is that still something that's on the table?
We didn't present it as part of this. We did talk about it with a consultant.
Just my thought is we're going to have a lot of hardscape in that 50 to 100-foot buffer. I know it was previously approved, but I'm not aware of all the details of that approval.
Right.
So,
I don't,
so I don't know whether.
There wasn't any mitigation required from that previous.
Do you remember what the reason was for it?
Essentially, to the best of my recollection, it's that this was, and I don't remember the first year of approval, but it was extended. It was granted an order of conditions, I think even before I became the agent. And it was
Pretty far back,
extended
yeah.
a few times while Willow Bend was trying to sell the lot. And this was done, so when you go down Shoestring Bay Road, all of the houses on the seaward side of the road were permitted in similar fashion. Willow Bend came before the commission with a building envelope for each one. And then, although I don't think there was requirement from previous applications to come back with an amended order to show details, this was the first one that I had encountered on Shoestring Bay, and I said, I want to see an amended order with details. I'm not comfortable with just an envelope with no details. So, to my recollection, this is the first one that I was involved in on Shoestring Bay Road. Every house on Shoestring Bay Road, I'm not saying this to justify or not justify, I'm not advocating or anything like that, just stating a fact, they're all built into Coastal Bank. Every house on Shoestring Bay Road. This is just the way Willow Bend presented these projects to the commission back then. And like I said, this is the only one on Shoestring Bay Road that I was involved in. And only because it had been extended into, over such a period of time that I had first encountered it, like, I think maybe a year or two after I started with the town. Then they had dropped the ball, so to speak, and the orders expired. They came back, and this was when I was the agent. They came back to basically ask for issuance of a new order of conditions for the exact same project, that being a building envelope. They cited, the precedents of all the other houses on Shoestring Bay Road had gone through the same process, and the commission was fine with that, and they issued an order of conditions. That's it.
Can we request mitigation on this, or is it?
You could do whatever you feel is appropriate.
Yeah, because.
I'm just giving you the history of my, I wasn't the agent when this was first brought before the commission, so I really don't have a lot of information there as far as what was discussed. I can certainly research the meeting minutes to see if there was anything, but that's, this was kind of the process for houses on Shoestring Bay Road in Willow Bend, as far as how they went about getting approval.
Yeah.
I would bring up the idea that without a proposed plan for a home, how could you have the mitigation? Because you really wouldn't know.
Yeah, you didn't know.
What part of this envelope is going to be.
That's not a correct statement, because the envelope that was permitted was assumed to be, there's an exact square footage of area in that envelope that was within the coastal bank. So, and it was approved with no mitigation required, so it was done.
But
they were all
asked
done
you-
that way.
And they asked you to come back for details to show, why would you ask for details if you didn't want to know how much square footage a footprint would be in the buffer?
That's the way it was written. It's no different than any other subdivision that was ever permitted, in my opinion. They're all like that. You never put a house on there. They went beyond, and then we actually, at great expense and care came back, but most of the time, as is explained, you didn't even have to come back, but it was put in the order, and, because of that, there's a vast amount of native plantings, drainage pickup in order to protect the environment here. So, what you're asking is, in my opinion, done to the best of our ability on the site, because you can't do anything else.
Right, you can eliminate a bunch of lawn and put more plantings in the front to,
Do you want to comment on that?
just to keep more of the
Well, I think
property wooded.
we've got some, we've got to be in keeping with the neighborhood of, in Willow Bend as well. We would have moved the house up closer to the street, but we couldn't. And I think we've done the best we could here to really, everything that is not functioning as the house and that pool area, we're really turning into native habitat.
No, the planting plan looks great, all the plants that they're doing. I'm just saying that, we have a lot of hardscape going in the 50 to 100-foot buffer, and then there's a lot of lawn. So can you reduce some of that lawn to, meet us halfway on something? We're not asking for the hard numbers that per the board, and say if we can, if you can fill in some of this lawn area.
So there's the whole idea of the Willow Bend is every single house on that road has a front lawn and looks exactly the way it's presented. This also has to get approved by Willow Bend. And so to put all kinds of stuff in there just to make it, there's no lawn, could you push out the ornamentals a little? It wouldn't really look right. And I don't think you'd gain anything from it either.
I think we can do a little bit of both on that. We could cut in some planting beds in there and use some native plants within those planting beds. I'd like to mix in a little bit of I think we almost need to because of Willow Bend, mix in a little bit of ornamental plants with that. Maybe we could do like a 50-50 native and ornamental planting. Maybe say another 1,000 square feet we could take out of that lawn and do that.
Yeah, maybe,
If we
like you
could do
said,
that.
if you move that leaching pit towards the house, because I'm only talking about in front of the pool area, not the house. I understand we want lawn in front of the house, but if you, some of that area in front of that
Yeah.
retaining wall where
Yeah, okay.
you're not seeing anything,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah,
that area,
yeah.
is, be a good compromise
Yeah.
solution.
Maybe we could add 1,000 square feet of reduction in what we're
That's
showing for
amenable to the
lawns.
other members of the commission.
He's talking all up in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aaron,
I'm all set.
you're all set.
Yep.
Sandy, any questions?
Okay.
All set. Marjorie, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I was just waiting for Drew's comment on the tree removal. That was the only
Okay.
note that I had made that was sort of unanswered.
Okay, I'm sure we'll get to that shortly. One of the questions that I have, even when I look at the most recent revision, which I believe is dated 10/24, it was just submitted prior to the closing of the filing deadline for this hearing. As much as I look, I don't see the coastal bank delineated on any of those plans. I
It's in
do
the
see the
plans.
coastal bank delineated on the original Baxter and Nye plan. And
on the
it's
engineering?
delineated in two specific ways. It's delineated for the Mashpee defined coastal bank, and it's also delineated for policy 91-1. But when I look at your layout of this house, it becomes very difficult to see that.
It's right behind you, and we put it in red, just so you could see
It's
it.
on the site plan, not the
Yeah, you
landscape
had,
plan.
your first plan that you submitted when Stacy asked for a PDF, you didn't have that on there. Then you submitted this plan that has it on there. So you-
The coastal bank was always on there.
Not on the first PDF you sent us this week, it wasn't. Paul and I sat down yesterday and looked for it, it wasn't there.
There were
So
actually two
this one,
plans. There was one 10/24, there was another one
yeah,
one
this
day
one,
previous,
this one was the
10/23.
second one you sent, the one up on the screen now, but the one you originally sent.
I think I had sent the drafts, and then she asked for the
Yeah.
regular one, so I
I mean,
apologize.
it's on there now, but
And it's
you're
on the
right, it
paper,
wasn't-
it's on all the paper plans.
Yeah, and it is on the paper plan.
So this one here,
Yeah. Yes, so, it's,
what I was trying to determine is the location of the pool.
this, yeah, this is the,
Choose the BVW?
Okay, I see it right
yeah,
there.
because then you can, then you can
This
see the
is-
50 and the 100.
This is the Mashpee
So
coastal
the
bank.
entire pool is
Oh, yeah.
inside the bank.
A substantial portion is inside the coastal bank.
Okay, that was my concern. I was focused on the pool as an appurtenance to the house, and I wanted to see its relationship to the exact location of the coastal bank. And I wasn't able to determine that from the draft plans that were submitted recently. And then I went back and I looked at the Baxter Nye plan, which goes back to, I believe, April 23rd of 2020, that shows the envelope. And I could clearly see the coastal bank on that, but I was having difficulty determining, because the pool was now moved from one side of the building to the other, and I was trying to figure out if you got that pool out of the coastal bank. But as I'm looking at this now, the pool is clearly still right in the coastal bank.
No, it's not. It's out of the coastal bank 100%. It's on the other side of the lot. The coastal bank runs from the center of the plan straight down, then takes a hard left through the house and then down. So the pool and everything is not on the coastal bank.
It's below it.
No, it's above it. It's not part of the coastal bank.
I'm reading this plan wrong, and I don't understand.
Now, I see
The right side of the plan is the coastal bank,
Yeah.
the right side of the red line.
Okay.
Do we have this plan on the screen?
I believe so. Yes. There's the
Yeah,
bank.
if you look up on the screen, Alex.
It says Policy 91, State Coastal Bank in the middle of the
Right.
house, right? So how is the pool above the coastal bank?
No, the coastal bank is to the right of the red line if you're looking at the big drawing.
Right, if you look on the screen, Alex, following the cursor, that's.
There's a
the coastal
jog to
bank.
that
It's a jog,
bank?
it's not the
Yeah.
same elevation across the line,
Yeah.
it jogs quite a bit.
And we're not
So right
arguing.
here, it jogs down, the pool is above the coastal bank, that is, the red line is the coastal bank, from
Yeah.
here on down. So the pool is actually above it. Then it jogs all the way up here, and comes across
Yeah.
here.
So
And,
the house itself is right through the.
J-
Yeah, the house is, but the pool is not.
yeah. Just to note for clarification for the board, the coastal bank was previously delineated, and it's by the DEP's regulations for sloped lines, so there was no less than 10-to-1 slope below that line anywhere on the plan, so they had to put the line there. In actuality, that's not really a coastal bank if you look at land form, but we're not going to argue that. We agree with what was permitted. But just
Part of,
if you...
part of the record.
Yeah, it's part of the record, but if you're just looking at the whole thing, that's a wooded bank. It's not contributing to anything, so we feel that, we're just going to go with what the envelope and the delineations we had.
Well, I wouldn't argue with any of the delineation myself.
No, we think they're correct from the law, but
Okay,
just...
it's been hashed out.
Yeah,
It's no
all right, that's
longer,
fine. Yeah.
it's a done
Yeah.
argument.
Okay. Any other further questions from commissioners?
I do have one more.
Yes, Steve, go right ahead.
Do you guys have a plan for erosion control monitoring during construction? I see just hay bales, but during construction, who's going to monitor after heavy rainstorms and things?
So-
It is something that you can request. There's no regulatory requirement for that.
Right.
You know,
It's
when
such
you
a
have-
steep site, that's what I was...
Yeah, when you have this kind of site conditions, it's certainly something I would recommend as a condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd be happy to condition, however you'd like to condition it.
Bruce, can I interrupt for a sec? Can you hear me?
Yes.
With apologies, I have a personal issue here that I have to deal with. Do you have a quorum if I jump off?
If you were to step down now, do we have a quorum? Is that the question?
Do you have a quorum?
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
You do?
Yes.
I hope you'll forgive me, but calls.
I'm sorry, can you say that again, Marjorie? You're breaking up a little.
I said with apologies, I hope you'll forgive me, but duty calls.
Oh, okay. Sure.
That's what you're- Yeah,
Got it.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So for the record, Marjorie is excusing herself from the
Yes.
hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. No further questions then from commissioners? Let me go out to the public first, and then Drew, I'll come back and listen to what you have for comments.
I know we have Michael Sharp, who's the neighbor.
And he's online.
He is on Zoom.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take a comment from Michael Sharp, who is on the Zoom connection. Michael, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can indeed. Yes, good evening. Thank
Okay,
you
the
for
floor is yours
letting us
right
talk
now.
of This meeting. We are at 55 Shoestring Bay, and we directly abut 61 Shoestring Bay Road. We've sent him pictures of the trees which I guess are due to be removed, and also a note which my wife Helen Sharp will read to you now, which is also in the record.
Okay. This is the letter that you've also through it received. We are the direct abutters to 61 Shoespring Bay Road. We would like to share with you our concerns over the large numbers of trees that are potentially due to be removed outside of the building envelope of 61 Shoestring Bay. As you can see from the photograph, I don't know if they're available. Oh, they are. The first two views are of the plot at 61 Shoestring Bay. This shows a number of trees which have all been tagged with tape, which would seem to indicate that they have to be removed for the construction of the property. However, the additional photographs are taken from our lot, 55 Shoestring Bay, as the direct abutter. These are pictures of trees tagged in exactly the same manner as those within the building envelope. Not only do these trees fall outside of the building envelope, the tagged trees extend over a significant area of the coastal bank. This includes many that are within 15 feet of our lot line and are also tagged in the same manner. Some are within 1 to 2 feet of our lot line. We can understand why a significant number of trees have to be removed for the construction of the property, but do not understand why so many on the coastal bank and all the way down our lot line have to be removed. Sincerely yours.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
is Rod Coleman.
Okay.
All set. Thank you. Anyone else?
Another gentleman on.
Another one
Zoom,
online?
Yeah. Someone else on the line who wants to speak about 61?
Yes.
Can you state your
This is
name?
Bruce Saulnier. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. If you could just give your name and, for the record, please, and address.
Sure. Bruce Saulnier. My wife is also on the line, Amy, and we are across the street at 60 Shoestring Bay Road.
Okay. Go ahead.
First, I'm in an airport, so I apologize for any background noise. I'll try to be brief and to the point. I concur totally with Mr. and Mrs. Sharp. I share the same concerns they do on the property. I'm not opposed to a home being built. I just want to ensure that it's being built within the original envelope that was originally determined for what's best for this piece of property. I've lived at Willow Bend since 2009, been a Mashpee resident for almost 30 years. Prior in New Seabury, I've seen the dramatic effect on the wildlife in that neighborhood since the construction began. We have an abundance of nuisance animals these days, turkeys and rabbits running around like crazy. And I only believe that's because the natural predators have been disturbed and are no longer in the area. That's why I'm asking for just the original footprint to be respected and built with it. Easements aren't doing us any favors at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did he say his wife is also going to speak? Or?
Is your wife going to speak as well, or was that representative?
No, I think that's it. We're both. I concur. In the airport.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're set online now.
For public.
Okay, let me go to people that are here physically. If there's any questions or comments? Seeing none. Andrew, did you have a response to?
Yeah, the trees were marked as part of the wildlife study. The Crawford Land Management marked the trees as they were identifying them and locating them. Those aren't to be cleared. Anything outside of that limit of work is not being cleared. It was just they were identifying.
Right, so the ones with the yellow bands that are fairly close to the street, those aren't being taken down.
I don't, if it's in the limit of work line, that would be coming out. If it's outside the limit of work line, nothing's being proposed to be removed outside of the work limit.
Including where the pervious 4-foot pathway is?
Yeah, you got a pathway shown on the plan here.
Yeah.
Right here.
There's probably just small brush that'll have to be cleared, some for that, but we'll probably go around the trees.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of trees on that slope, that are going to be prevent us from going down that pathway.
Where does the path lead to?
Just down to the bottom of the marsh, so they have access to the marsh, trying to preserve that. There's nothing really there when you get there.
So why do you need a path?
It was basically, they wanted a path, the owner.
It's not pre-existing? It's going to be created?
Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Right, if it's going to lead down the marsh, then
I mean, you're selling,
you're going to open this
people have a
stuff up
right
for
to access
damage.
the water through their property.
But
So-
that's not in this notice of intent, though.
And
That was in, I believe it was in the original.
Does their property line go to the water?
Yes.
What goes to the marsh?
There's this, see the strip where you have the wet, it shows the wetland there. So that doesn't count, that's actually, just to the left of the north arrow. the half moon in there where the wetlands are. So the lot bends in, and that's actually public land right there. That's part of the Willow Bend Association land, that small piece.
Right, but then you guys are proposing a path down to the marsh that leads to nowhere that could invite damage to the marsh.
Well, how would it invite
And to the
damage to the
bank,
marsh?
and the slope,
It's
and the
just,
road there.
it's just walking through the woods. We're not putting gravel down, we're not putting anything down. It's no different than you walking down there right now, really. It's just sort of to preserve a way for them to get down. Because say the whole thing grows, they'll be able to permit to keep that open. If we just leave it and invasives come in, then it would block their route to the water and we wouldn't be able to touch it. So that
But the
was
route to the
purpose of it.
water is going to go across a salt marsh.
Yeah,
That's
you're
not-
allowed to walk across the marsh to the water.
Can I add a
We're not,
comment?
they're not going to, we don't suspect they are, that was what was asked of us.
Quick comment.
Yes, go
You
right
know.
ahead, Drew.
So it's not public land. That's a mistake.
It's
That's-
Willow Bend's land.
Yes, so it's private,
Yes.
not public.
Sorry,
Okay.
yes.
So, let me just say first that Reg 29, that's entitled Buffer Zones and Buffer Strips, you're allowed to have a 4-foot wide pathway. Whether it makes sense or not is kind of besides the point. You're allowed to have it, according to the regs. I can
Okay.
cite it now
Yeah,
if you want me
yeah.
to.
No problem. Yeah, I
But-
agree.
So, whether it's a pathway to nowhere or not, the point is, it's allowed. So I didn't want to belabor that point that it's a pathway to nowhere when you're allowed to have it. So, you can keep asking about it, but I don't really know. the
Right,
point
but
of-
does that regulation say is a pathway to water or a pathway to a marsh?
It says a
Because-
pathway through naturally vegetated buffer strip.
Buffer
That's-
strip, okay, that's,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, having said that, though, if like you said, if the point of the pathway is to gain access to the water, they're going to need permission to go through that property from Willow Bend because they don't own it. It's not public property, so that means it's not open to everybody. So
That-
just to point that out there,
Yep.
you seem to be coming across as
Yeah.
that this is public land and they can just walk right through it, and that's really not the case.
I
in reality.
think it's more for, maybe even a marketing standpoint when
Yeah.
when you're selling it.
It's
that,
fine, I'm just
you know,
clarifying what you said.
These
'cause
people
it was
aren't
a
going
little-
to be running down there. They're
it was
going to
a
be
little-
going.
It was just a little misleading the way you put it
Yeah.
as public land, so I just
Okay.
want to, clarify that. So, when you're ready for my comments.
Okay, yes, in fact, there were no other comments, correct, from the public here?
True. I just do have one more question, please, if it's possible.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, go ahead,
I
Mike.
just want to clarify the tagged trees which are outside of the building envelope. So if I understand it correctly, they are not going to be removed,
That's correct, yes. Yep.
albeit they are marked with exactly the same yellow tag.
Yeah, we
But you are
will
going to be
certainly
removed.
make sure that flagging is removed and those trees are not mistaken to be assumed to be removed. I guarantee you that.
Rather
that-
odd. They're
yeah.
all tagged with the same yellow
Understood.
tape
We'll,
all the way down the coastal bank.
we'll make sure that discrepancy is taken care of.
Thank you. I would really appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No problem. So just my final comments are just regarding the pathway that, first of all, just like Mr. Sharp had said, you're using the same color flagging as removal for all the other trees. Replace it with something else and make sure that whatever purpose they're flagged for by Crawford, that it's clearly stated on the flagging what the purpose is so that the contractor doesn't go in and start wiping out trees under the assumption it's the same color flag as the trees that are being removed. That's a very misleading flagging. So as far as the pathway goes, it has to take a route where you do not remove any mature-sized trees. And you
that's
reduce the amount of vegetation that's being removed to the greatest extent feasible. So it may not look exactly like you have it on the plan, and that can be a condition that I would recommend, that when the pathway is created and flagged, it be inspected by staff to make sure that it does indeed take a circuitous route and doesn't result in the loss of mature trees or an excessive amount of vegetation. It should take the path of least resistance, I guess, for lack of a better phrase there.
Hi, this is Amy Saulnier, Bruce's wife.
Not now, ma'am.
you're-
We've already solicited public comment. We're moving on.
I'm sorry.
We've
I
already
can barely
solicited
hear.
public comment, ma'am.
Gentleman referred to the
Ma'am.
marsh as a bumper strip. I just didn't know what that meant.
Man, we already solicited public comment. Thank you.
Okay.
So that's it. That's all my comments.
Okay. All right, so
It was just a question.
unless there's further questions or discussions from the commissioners, I would accept a motion if there is one.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for 61 Shoestring Bay Road, 61 Shoestring Bay Road LLC for, to amend the existing order conditions with the following conditions. So number one would be erosion monitoring during construction. Number two would be add 1,000 square feet of plantings in front of the pool in the front yard, and that plan can be submitted to the staff and worked on with staff. Leach pit for the rear roof leaders shown. The next condition is the pool to be pumped into leach pit or into a pump truck, either one. And then the path to marsh to be rooted with no tree removal and stopped at the property line. And then last condition, remove flagging on trees not to be removed. So those conditions.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second? Motion is made and seconded, up for discussion amongst commissioners only. Anything? I might add, I believe we have boilerplate language on pool drawdown. Is that correct, Drew?
We can. It's not boilerplate, but
It's not
but it has
boilerplate.
been kind of boilerplate.
Yeah, we
recently.
haven't allowed anything to go into a dry well for a long time. It would have to be pumped off the site.
Okay.
So condition of pumping.
Yeah, I think that should be,
So I amend the motion to not to be pumped to the leach pit and be pumped to a truck.
to a truck,
Yeah.
taken off-site.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Before we go further then, I will take a vote on the amendment to see if that does carry. I'm going to assume that it does, but I can't do that, so. You're making that change?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
Thank you, Sandy. Any further discussion on the pumping? Being none, I'm taking the vote on the amendment, not the original motion. Alex?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
And I will vote yes on the amendment. Okay, so now we're back to the motion. Any other discussion? I have a few things that I want to bring up. I know this goes back a considerable amount of time. The envelope was created when Drew wasn't here, let alone when I wasn't here, or probably anybody sitting at this table. I think the commission today is a completely different commission than what was in place when this project began. So here we are today. We're looking at an envelope, we're looking at a well-thought-out plan that's been presented, that's been revised, that's been represented, and now here we are tonight looking at that plan again. What I'm doing as a commissioner that wasn't around when this plan first came into being is I'm applying Regulation 16, which is coastal banks. And not as a new commissioner, but to this project, yes, I see a lot of things in Regulation 16 that are contradictory to what's being proposed. Therefore, I will not be able to support, in a positive way, a vote on this motion. No other discussion? Then I'll take a vote. Alex?
No.
Steve?
Yeah, I just have a comment, Mr. Chairman. I understand the position on the Regulation 16, but are we, because this was previously approved on the footprint and we've asked for a lot of conditions here, is it seemed like that we're in a compromised position with the applicant here, and then plus the previous approval. So if we vote no on this, what is our reasoning for voting no versus this compromised position that we've, on the motion that I made?
Are you asking for me to clarify my reasoning?
Well, I'm just saying if this commission turns down this amended order of condition, what is our legal standing on that versus what was previously permitted by the previous commission 3 or 4 years ago, and then what the compromise position with the conditions we're imposing on it now?
We are not in a position where we would have to state our legal position. If this project passes, it does. If this project fails, it fails. The applicant would have several opportunities to move on. The first opportunity would be to appeal the decision of this commission to the DEP for a superseding order of conditions. Another possible remedy would be that they could come back and refile the project with perhaps a more modest presentation, a smaller building that might be a little bit more compatible to Regulation 16. I don't know. That's entirely up to the applicant. This commission is not the final say on anything. Any applicant always has the right to appeal. So I'm not weighing and balancing a legal standing here. What I'm looking at is a presentation that's before me, and I'm looking at our regulations, Mashpee bylaw, and I see a lot of things in 16 that just don't square off with what I'm seeing presented here tonight. It's my interpretation, my opinion of what's in front of me. And I'm just stating that for the record.
I agree. So I'm voting no because I can't in good conscience think that this isn't going to have a cumulative effect, a negative cumulative effect on the resource area, given what we've seen happen in Shoestring Bay. I mean, I think just because it was done that way in the past, I mean, we can see where that has gotten us. Shoestring Bay has collapsed. I don't see the need for a house and a pool. If the house were to try to be moved mostly off of the coastal bank, I could maybe agree with that, but just to like blow up that whole top area because someone years ago approved it, because that was what they did, like that's not, I don't know, I'm struggling with that. Like that wasn't me, so I wasn't here for it. So that's why I'm voting no.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to understand that Regulation 16 because it hasn't been brought up before, and I've been away for the last 2 weeks, so I wasn't up to speed on that, so, okay, I'm just understanding where the vote's coming from.
Yep.
So. Yeah, I'll abstain from this vote.
Okay. Aaron?
No.
Sandy?
No.
I vote no as well. Motion does not carry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're not finished. Don't go away, we're not finished. The motion that you made did not carry.
Correct.
So I would like to see if there is another motion to be made because the first one did not carry. I want to give the applicant every opportunity before we finish this hearing up. Are there any other motions to be made?
Procedurally, there should be a motion.
There should be a motion, yes.
You can't not have a motion to end a hearing.
So-
You have to have a motion of some kind.
I would
So-
suggest
Do we close and deliberate? Close and,
you could do that. Although we have a motion that has not carried, you could make a new motion to close and deliberate rather than close an issue and take the 21-day time period that we're entitled to further deliberate this amongst ourselves in open session. Or the commission could make a motion to deny the project without prejudice.
yeah, I'll do that.
And then you would go from there.
Yep. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to deny without prejudice.
If I could just be, you can
Not
only.
now. Not now.
You can only deny the
now.
amendment, you can't deny the project. The project's already approved.
Are you finished speaking, sir?
Yeah.
There's a motion on the floor, a first, to deny without prejudice. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. I will now open that up to discussion amongst the commissioners. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will take a vote. Alex?
Yes.
Steve?
I'll abstain.
Still abstaining. Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So project is denied without prejudice.
Thank you.
Just ask a quick
Time out
question.
before you leave.
Who seconded the motion?
The motion was seconded by Aaron.
Thank you.
Okay. We're all set.
Yep.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All set?
Good?
Just so you
Thank
clear,
you.
they voted to deny the amended order request. So we're there.
But there's still an order of conditions
There
in
is.
place.
There is.
Correct.
So
You have an order of conditions for a building envelope.
Right, and you're allowed to file, you don't, just because an amendment was denied, you can file another amendment right away. You don't have to
Absolutely.
wait the 2 years?
No.
Oh, no.
You can- No, you
Okay.
can file, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Okay. We'll move on to the 6:15 hearing for Wacoit Bay, Jamie Pacheco, sorry. Terrible on pronouncing names. Proposed approximate 1.98 acre aquaculture farm within the waters of Wacoit Bay, owner of record, Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This is a notice of intent, DEP file number 433257, and this hearing is continued from October 19th. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Can I have your name for the record, please?
Jamie Pacheco.
Thank you. The floor is yours.
My name is Jamie Pacheco. Here tonight, I'm hoping to apply for a 1.9 acre shellfish aquaculture site in Wacoit Bay, right off of Secaucet Point. Well, the map was up there, but for those of you who don't know exactly where it is, it's just outside of Great River and Little River when you come into the bay there. It's just right off the Osprey Nest to the right there. All the property you see, that whole point, I believe it's a 6 acre parcel, is owned by Joel Carton. It's all private beach. He has been notified of it. He is in full support of it. I'm hoping to grow oysters, quahogs, possibly scallops down the line, using strictly bottom gear, which would be hotel-style cages, roughly, the size of this table, basically like an oversized lobster pot. You put all the oysters and quahogs in there, you set them on the bottom, you sink them, so you're not going to see these big floating rafts that boats can hit, or they can break off or cause damage. It's all going to be under the water. I'll also be using predator netting, hopefully, which is when you take the quahogs, you seed them out just like you would, grass seed on the sandy bottom. You take this, it's that plastic like orange netting you wrap trees with. You see them on the side of the highways a lot. You put that over the top and on the bottom so the predators can't get at them. You put it down with some rebar. So you're not disturbing a lot. Like I said, you're not going to have all this floating gear, pain in the butt, in the way, ugly stuff. It's all going to be under the water there and not disturbing much. And yeah, that's about it. So,
Thank you.
no problem.
Questions that any of the commissioners might have on the proposal?
Do we have a letter or anything from that abutter saying that they're in support?
Not to my knowledge, no.
No, he asked if he needed to write one, but I told him he could if he wanted to. I didn't know it was required.
No, it's not. I was just wondering if there was any
No.
written record.
Well, actually, me and Chris and Bob, the harbor master, we sat with him personally, so he can vouch that he was in support.
Okay.
Any questions, Steve?
Yeah, you mentioned in your narrative about the strong southwest winds.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel like the gear will handle the wave action and the winds?
Yeah, so I intend to tether it down. That's what most people do. They'll take basically, so you'll run them, I had that chart up there with the rows. You'll run your cages in rows, and usually the lines will face head on with those waves. What you'll do is you'll run a line through all of them, put an anchor on one side, put an anchor on the other. It keeps them solid.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
I mean,
if-
you do have instances where they'll break off, things happen. You get a big storm, you can't prevent it, but you just try to prepare the best you can.
If a hurricane was coming, what's your plan for? if
Pull it
that-
out of the water,
pull it out of the
typically.
water?
Yeah, that's what you would do. Yeah.
Okay. Great. That's it.
Aaron, any questions or comments? No? Sandy? No? I'm all set. I don't have any questions or comments either. Questions from the public? No? Anyone online, Drew, that wants to?
Anyone on the phone that wants to comment about this aquaculture proposal?
No? And then I'll take your questions or comments.
Good. The only missing information we had the first time around, well, there was the re-advertisement, to clarify this wasn't a town project.
Right, yeah, I think it was,
Or a state project. And that DEP number hadn't come in, so it came in. He has that. Just a couple other quick comments. It has sign off from Mass Division of Marine Fisheries. They have designated the area as not viable shellfish habitat, therefore it's conducive for an aquaculture operation. And Board of Selectmen, I think the Select Board already went through their review, so yeah, this is pretty much the last stop. And all of the staff from Mashpee DNR has reviewed this. They don't have an issue with it. They're all on board.
yep.
Why is it not viable shellfish area?
They have numbers, I would imagine they have I know this was for Dick Cook's aquaculture farm, that they have surveyed areas where they've conducted counts,
Right.
physical counts.
Yep.
And whatever the threshold is that they use, it's below that as far as what they consider to be a viable shellfish population.
But it's not closed because the water's contaminated?
No.
It's not like
nothing-
it's
well,
due to
I mean,
water
it
quality?
Could be, but it's, no, not currently.
Right,
Yep.
okay.
Okay. All right then, I think we've covered it. I'll accept a motion if there is one.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion for Jamie Pacheco, Wacoit Bay, for close an issue on the notice of intent filing.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion by commissioners?
Just that it should,
Alex.
do we need to condition that the gear would be removed with any
Severe
named
storms?
storms hitting the
Yeah,
area?
we typically add that in there, but yeah, I'll make
Okay,
it
I
up.
just wasn't sure if it was,
No, it's a good one.
okay.
It's in your best interest too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
yeah.
free oysters
I don't
for
wanna lose
everybody.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
okay. So before I call a vote, and I'll clarify that will be written into the order of conditions for removal of the equipment with impending storms. Hopefully there aren't any, but who knows?
Fingers crossed.
Okay then. I'll call for a vote. Alex?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you. You have to come.
Good. Oh, wait.
Changed. We were talking about the two COCs. So I changed this one because as of today.
Okay. I didn't even see
So
that
that's
on.
why I don't know
Right.
if you noticed the change,
Okay.
but just so you.
All right. So for the record, we have two certificate of compliances, one advertised for 6/18 and one for 6/21, and both of these COCs have now passed inspection. There was no work that had taken place, and there was a fence issue, I guess. It's been removed.
Correct.
Perfect. So let's go back to our pre- and post-hearing agenda items. I know on the draft agenda, we were going to look at some minutes for 10:05 and 10:19, but I don't believe those are ready.
They're not ready.
Okay. So we do not have any approval of meeting minutes tonight. Under the discussion of Mashpee water quality issues and initiatives, I just wanted to remind the commission that at our next meeting, November 16th, Nicole Corbett is going to be presenting her data research on Pompanesett, on both the water quality and various species of plant and animals that are found within that water. She's got a lot of information to share with us. I'm kind of looking forward to that.
I want her on the beginning of the agenda, just so she's...
Yes, she teaches, and I know she teaches off Cape. She's coming in to do this presentation, so I don't think it would be good to have her sit around waiting for hearings.
So we'll put her first
Let's
on.
do her right up front like we did with Neil.
Do we want to make it like, I know this is pushing it,
I think we
but-
should have a time limit.
Well,
well.
maybe try to start 15 minutes earlier, just so we don't push back the hearing, because we've already, this is for
sure.
the next meeting, so we've already got the agenda, so there's an expectation of applicants starting hearings at 6 o'clock, so
Right.
if it's possible to come in early, I mean, it's probably not that big a deal, but
Well,
I'm
let's-
thinking,
It's under discussion, so let's discuss that. Steve, Alex, would you be okay starting 15 minutes early on 16th?
Yeah, I'm fine with
this
that.
would just be allowed time, so we're not pushing back the
Okay.
first hearing too far back.
It
So start
reminds
at
me-
5:45?
Yeah, rather than 6,
Yeah, we can do that.
because we've scheduled hearings
Yeah.
previously to this, so it's probably a good idea. Sandy, you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we'll adjust the time then to 5:45.
Yeah, that should be sufficient.
Okay. I think this is a carryover from our last one, the Community Preservation Committee application. Do we have any further information on that? Dan?
Yeah, so the CPC for River
17
Cove
acres.
application was submitted.
It was submitted?
It was submitted.
Okay.
yeah. So that was submitted, and now we'll just see how it goes. So it'll be for the CPC right now.
And they meet on a monthly basis, right? Or
I'm not too sure how often they
Not
meet.
really sure what
Sandy,
their
do you know the next scheduled meeting for CPC? Off the top of your head?
Next week.
Next week? Okay. So there'll be more information then, that'll be reviewed, I would
Ninth. Whatever,
think.
next Thursday is, I think it's the 9th.
Okay.
It's next week.
Yeah, I don't know how that review process rolls out. I know when I was the representative for CPC, I kind of came in at the tail end. And most of the applications had already been reviewed, and they were just in the process of just being approved.
Okay.
So I don't know how that review process plays out. It's got to be lengthy, though, because it's from now until May, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I just got my pack, but I haven't looked at it
Right,
yet.
yeah. Okay. Drew, did you want to comment on the purview
Yeah,
issue? So we'll go to that next.
sure. Shoot, I don't know if I brought a copy with me, but this was just an observation. It's not a mandate. I just want to say that right off the bat, that I didn't write the memo with the intent of telling you how to do your jobs or anything like that. This is really just based on some observations over, and it's not really any one particular hearing either. It's so questions, relating to topics that aren't really directly under the commission's purview. And it's fine to ask those questions, but in my observations, and I could be wrong, it seemed like some of these questions were rising to the level of, resulting in a continuance or influencing your final decision making, above and beyond the criteria that really make up the bulk of your purview. And so, like an example would be, getting into number of bedrooms on a project that has nothing to do with bedrooms, I'll preface this by saying I know it is directly tied to water quality, but asking about septic system build specs for septic systems, fine to ask those questions, but if there's missing information, my recommendation would be you could certainly ask for that on the plan, but does it really warrant a continuance when you've got an entire department that deals with that subject matter? It's all they do. So, or it makes up the bulk of what they do. So that's just kind of where I was coming from. And again, it's just my observation. It's just my opinion. You're more than welcome to come back and say you disagree, and I would respect that. It's just based on something that I just kind of noticed as a trend. And I always want to see the commission just basing their ultimate decision on what is clearly and totally under your purview, and not another department's purview or another board's purview. And it's not to say that you can't ask those questions. I would never say that you can't ask any questions you want. It just seemed like it was starting to trend in a direction that seemed like it was becoming more common. And so,
Yeah. That's it. Okay. I'll make one comment. As you, I'm sure know, there's been a new position awarded to our town planner, Evan Lear. He is now the Community Development Director, and his role in that capacity is to oversee the operations of conservation and health and building and zoning, and I'm missing one, planning.
planning.
And I think there's one other one, CPC and housing. I mean, it's a far-ranging scope of regulatory and other committees and commissions. I think the concept of that is a good one, because that should address some concerns that I know some commissioners have had, in fact, that I have had when I look at other regulations. Take, for example, the zoning. And I sit here and listen to all kinds of information being presented to us, and we're working on a project, and we're looking at revisions, and then we're doing more work on it, and then we have another hearing, and I'm thinking in my mind, I know there's a regulation for setback, and I'm not seeing it. I'm not going to cite the zoning because that is outside of my purview. But I find it very frustrating that knowing that some other regulatory board could be addressing this and might be saving this regulatory board and all the members in it a lot of work. So I really think that the outcome of this new position, I hope, will take a really close look at procedures and protocols, and when that applicant comes through the door and makes a project known to Town Hall, where do they go first? Where do they go second? And if these projects are going to run simultaneously, when and where and how is the ability of this board and that other board, whatever board it is, where's the ability to sit down and discuss this project so we can hammer out these issues rather than wait and then only to find out that it goes to this other board and our work either is paid attention to or ignored in some cases. So I've always found that very frustrating. So I do get it. I get exactly what you're saying, Drew, in terms of asking for things that, quite honestly, can be addressed by other boards. But I'd like these other boards, I hope that, somehow this procedure can be a little bit more smooth.
And some semblance of an order of events too, which I know can be very frustrating for the applicant, and it can be frustrating all around. When boards like us, we have a requirement for to provide proof of application, for ZBA
Right.
or for all other applicable permits. And then ZBA or a planning board may say, well, we want to hear from Concom first. It's so up in the air. It's so undefined. If I were an applicant, I would be very frustrated if I had to go before multiple boards and I keep getting told, nope, sorry, you got to go before that board. And then that board tells me, oh, sorry, we haven't heard from that board yet, so you're going to have to wait. Something needs to be done to kind of clean up the process there. And I don't know if it's even possible. I hope it is. But, that was one of the reasons why I changed obtain to apply for, because it was causing such a logjam that we couldn't get hearings off our agenda. It was just,
Sure.
you got to do something to move stuff along. So it was, so I hope that can get, Evan can, one more thing on it for Evan.
It's a big job. It's a big job.
It's a lot.
And even
But it's
tonight,
good that
we
it's
had a
done.
representative in here tonight that left the hearing and really didn't quite understand what his next opportunity or, ability to come back to us was, until you clarified that for him. So there's a lot, I think, in terms of procedure that we still need to work on. Okay. Trail maintenance, did you, where is this Colton Atkinson? Did he get the plans together?
So he got the plans together, and then what happened was I did an on-site with him to assess the trails. There's a good amount of trails on private property, some on town property, some on other property, Fish and Wildlife, tribal, things of that nature. So he is holding off the application right now for the CPC. In order to address all of that, because he didn't have permission to be on property, he wasn't aware of where all the work was. So he's addressing that, but that's also good because that gives me time to address some of the issues on trail that he pointed out that we can address through conservation. That's on town property that we can take care of as regular trail maintenance. To see where that goes, and then it's going to lie into the ultimate goal of connecting the whole thing to Mashpee Commons from the Quashnet Woods. So he has a plan for that, and he just needs to go through and get private property permission and make sure they're all well aware of what the feasibility study will be aiming at.
Sure.
And you know what would help with that?
Huh?
You know what would help with that? An up-to-date open space and rec plan.
Yeah, that's for certain.
That would be.
So
The perfect kind of
You know
stuff.
what would help with that? Getting Evan an assistant.
Well, yeah.
So.
Let me ask you a question, Dan. The last time he was here before the commission, we had asked for some type of mappage so that we could understand exactly where this trail was starting and stopping and what parcels it was going through. Do you know if he's still working on that? And if he is,
So he
do
has.
we have access to that?
Yeah, I could send what he sent me. It's a rough outline of our current trail map, that what he highlighted where the trail would be,
Okay.
which also encompasses some private property, because there's some trails that are very much trails that are there on private property that are accessed every day by the public. Whether the owner knows or not I have no idea. And it comes down to there was a Greenway project presented to the CPC about 7 years ago. And he used the rest of the trails coming out of Quashnet Woods on that map. So I can send that in a little packet as well to outline it all. He has to go through and really get into it, because the trail for the Greenway project, or the connector project, whatever it was called, it has, quote, workout stations in the Mashpee Commons around the stores. So he really needs to make sure that he knows what he's getting into and make sure that everyone's aware of it,
Right.
especially if there's going to be installations essentially on the sidewalks in Mashpee Commons.
Sure.
So I can send over what he has forwarded me so far,
Okay.
and then he's going to have something else coming up, because I put him in contact with the Friends Group of Mashpee Wildlife Refuge, because the whole Johns Pond, Quashnet area is in the refuge. So they're going to be working together now on this application, where they're going to be working together, submitted together, but they're going to be assisting him because they have other means on their end that can assist with the whole project.
Very good.
So.
Okay, thank you. Drew, I'll turn the updates over to you if there's something there that you want to highlight other than
One thing I wanted to highlight on here, and that's the herring warden updates. So I attended a really very informative Cape Cod, Southeastern Mass herring conference, and it's just a gathering of herring wardens all throughout the South North Shore, Cape Cod, and the islands. They passed out all of the run size estimates for this year's counts for all the towns, and Mashpee River had the highest count of any run in the state, actually, this year at 180,000. And then Santuit was next. Well, not next in terms of numbers, but the numbers for Santuit were 70,000. I think that run size estimate is probably much, much higher than that, just given the deficiencies with the fish ladder and probably what I would assume to be a higher passage rate at night outside of the counting. I'm confident that number should be much higher, and it should be much higher still when the fish ladder is fixed and able to accommodate fish passage the way it was intended. And then Quashnet at 17,000. Overall, though, despite the numbers and The numbers actually went up at each run from last year, which is a good sign. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, they're still really, really low in terms of just historic numbers of herring. So, and when you look, and I'm going to get a PDF of this data, and I'll send it out to everybody. It's for every town, and it shows like, peak counts, and it's got all the, details as far as how the program was run and all the data sets, and very interesting information. But this year was probably one of the worst years collectively for herring runs in the state. Everywhere. So, some areas had 0 counts, and the numbers overall, on average, when you look at all the runs, were way, way down this year, which is really, despite the moratorium, it's not having the impact that fisheries intended.
Of course, the weather this year, it started off very dry and then turned into very wet.
Yeah. But it's good to see, at least, there are some healthy runs, and it's good to see Mashpee's runs, are all up from last year. And a few other runs, like Stony Brook, I think, was up from last year, and Brewster, that's always one of the highest ones on the Cape, is Stony Brook. Historically, they usually have the highest numbers. But anyway, just wanted to share with you that data that just came out. And as soon as I get the PDF sent, I'll send it out to everybody so you can take a look at that.
Perfect.
If you haven't been down to the runs, there's just literally thousands and thousands of juvenile fish still coming out to Mashpee River. Still coming out of John's Pond. I haven't seen any at Santua in a couple of days, so I think that one's kind of drying up. But the other two are still going strong.
How big is
The John's Pond one?
Yeah.
I want to take Seb.
Yeah. That's
love that.
Awesome.
How big is
Love
an average juvenile?
They vary in size, so the fingerlings can be like 1 to 2 inches, and then right now you'll see 3 to 4 different size classes coming out now.
Yeah.
So anything from like 1 inch to like 3 or 4 inches, 5 inches in some cases.
So a 1 inch will travel out that winter over.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
There's some big
You're
fish out
pretty
there.
much food.
Yeah. Oh,
Hopefully not, but
okay. Nothing else on those updates then?
Nope, that's the only thing I remember.
Does anyone have additional topics?
Yeah, I do. I have
Yes,
two.
Steve.
Okay, one's a question. So it's amended order condition for 61 Shoestring Bay. It doesn't say, it says we're signing it like we're going to issue this order condition? There's nothing here that says a denial on it. It says,
Wait, what's the question again?
We were given this to sign.
sign
We'd be
paper.
Oh, you
signing
don't
it.
know. Oh, I'm sorry.
I put it in there.
Yeah.
Take it out.
okay.
Good catch.
Yeah, I already signed these.
You already did.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
so-
something on there, so you don't sign it.
Yeah.
You would
I didn't
normally
sign
sign a order of conditions for a denial.
Right, exactly.
But
yeah.
not.
That's why I
not
was just
an amendment.
confused
No,
why
no,
it was
it's
in
good
there.
catch.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and the second thing is,
So it's thrown
okay,
out.
going back to that project. It was continued,
Are we allowed to talk about that?
I just,
Decision. You're-
It's closed, yeah.
close. Okay, so, I'm just a little confused because on 1019, regulation 16, in the previous times, it was never brought up. And then, Drew, you didn't bring it up in your comments, which, I like your comments, I think it's great, but that wasn't there. And then, Paul, you didn't bring it up in the discussion, you brought it up after I made the motion.
Right.
So if you guys had said something about regulation 16 before I made the motion, I wouldn't have made that motion.
The reason I made that motion, when I looked at the original Baxter and I plan, the envelope. and
Right.
Quite honestly, the first time I saw this envelope was last night. That was the very first time. Drew sent it, I said, Drew, I've never seen this envelope.
Oh, I saw it before in the previous emails, going back into
I must have-
August, September,
I
yeah.
must have
It was
missed it.
definitely in the packet.
But
Yeah.
anyways, when I
So-
looked at it very carefully. It says right on it, Regulation 16. And so then I spent a lot of time looking at Regulation 16.
Right, and I have no problem with that, but you didn't bring up regulation 16 until after I made the motion.
Right.
Right.
You should have brought it up during our discussion before. I wouldn't have made that motion.
Right.
I thought we were still, we've already continued this thing 3 times. This is the 4th hearing with this. I was trying to come to a compromise situation because I knew it was a coastal bank and everything like that.
the extra mitigation you got, but.
Right, but then,
Yeah.
if you said, hey, regulation 16 says you can't build in this, you can't do this, I wouldn't have done any of that.
Though, it's good though for them to see the motion be made. Like, I could have made that motion and I still wouldn't have voted for it. Like, I could have made the motion and then just said no, just to show them that it didn't have support.
Right.
Like,
So that's just my comment on the
Right.
procedure of it.
Right, I didn't mean to mislead you at all. My hope in seeing what came before us tonight was that the footprint of that house was going to be considerably smaller, a lot smaller than what they gave us. And I was hoping that the pool would either be removed or reduced. It was reduced a little, but nowhere near.
Right,
what it
yeah, and the
should
wall
have been.
heights came down, yeah.
I went on that site and I looked at it. I walked down, I went from that platform, that viewing station, and I walked all the way down to the water and back up again. And to me, it just, without even looking at the plan, the lot is not a very good, conducive to building lot.
Yeah, I've
So,
seen the lot,
when
I've walked on that lot.
I saw what
yeah,
was
before.
proposed and I looked at the regulation
So-
and I can't live with that.
And part of it's my fault. I should have done a little more due diligence on this, but I've been away for 2 weeks. I was under the gun to keep my business running and do things before I left. So I didn't have time to go into the regulations, look at it. So it's partially my fault on that end of it, but.
No, I think I really do think it's good that it played out that way. I think it's good for them, for any applicant to see, okay, they made a motion to support it and there isn't the support. Rather than just simply a motion to deny it, like, I think it's good to show, like, it didn't have the support, so then the denial came next. Like, I don't think it was,
Okay.
I think it's,
I've noticed that you said, I'll take a motion. You shouldn't say if there isn't, because there's always going to be a motion, regardless of what it ends up being, just an observation.
All right, so that's my 2 cents worth on that, so.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, then I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, so moved.
Thank you, Steve.
second.
Thank you, Aaron. Any discussion? Probably not. Alex?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So we're adjourned at 7:42.
I'm on vacation all next